Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future. These are my stories of choice, change and action, along with the phenomenal guests I have on here. From a really young age, I've always desired to create a change in the world. The planet has been a constant inspiration to me, and Access Consciousness has shown me the tools to know that anything is possible. And I keep choosing. What are you going to choose? Hi everybody, welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you are obviously with me, your host, and if you didn't realize this and you're listening, you can also jump over onto YouTube and you can see us as well. We have all of the shows on YouTube now as well. So, and I am joined today, we've been going to do this podcast, I think, for a billion years, but here we are today. So, yay! And I am with Désirée DuMonde. Is that how you say your last name, actually?
Yes, okay, correct. Beautifully said.
It's so sexy, Désirée DuMonde. So, and Désirée DuMonde, you know what that OCD, ADHD thing clicks in, and now it sounds so good. I'm going to have to say it a few times, Désirée DuMonde. Oh, lovely. Sounds good, yeah. So, anyway, we've been going to do a podcast for quite some time, and I've known Désirée for a while, and she's an Access Consciousness facilitator, and amazing, many amazing capacities, etc. And what I've noticed is, and I've been working with Access for 21 years. I keep saying 21 years. I might have to say it's 22 soon, but anyway, I'm going with 21 years for now. And there's a lot of people who have come to Access classes, a lot of amazing, friggin' powerful and potent women. And one of the things, and I'm sure women, you out there, you know what I'm talking about throughout your life, you've probably had some not so nice situations with women. Women are a rare breed, and I think they're complicated. They try to make things, difficult. They can get really bitchy. They can get incredibly competitive. And men have always got this thing of like, oh, g'day, mate. Well, that's in Australia, but hi, mate. And it's like this more of a mateship thing. And women have done this thing for years, of this like standoff thing. It's like put someone at arm's length rather than like this energy of hi. And it's funny because even though, Désirée, I don't like hang out with you all the time, you're in Colorado, I'm here, and then when we see each other at classes, what I find is, though, there's this mutual admiration I have for so many women, and so many women who, it's going to make me cry, so many women involved in Access that I just don't think is acknowledged enough.
Yeah.
So I asked Désirée if she would come on here, and we kept cancelling it for various reasons, and today is probably the absolute perfect day to do that, because I would like to change that energy and maybe I'm delusional, but I would like to change that energy that so many women do have with each other and see if there's a different possibility available. And one of the things that Désirée and I were talking about before we came live today is I had a super busy morning, like a really busy morning, and I actually cancelled one of my media interviews and I said to my PR agent, I need to give my body some time here. If I'm not like giving my body this time, when I say time, I mean just carve out some space for it, whatever it desires to do, then I'm not going to be in it for the long haul. So for me, it's like my body, it's a huge priority. And I started going for a walk, and it's really, really, really hot here. And I started going for a walk, and I rang Sylvia Puentes, who works with us. Désirée knows her too. And I was like, hey, can you help me with something? And it was my schedule and everything. And the one thing she kept saying to me is, Simone, you're the valuable product. And when I started talking to Désirée, I went, I think that's where I'd like to go with this, is you're the valuable product, is, as a woman, as an infinite being, that you start looking at yourself as the valuable product. And Désirée, I don't know if you want to give a rundown of your day, because it was so similar, except the weather.
That was so beautifully articulated and opened such a door already, because I too, I have had such an ask throughout my life for what I've always called a ladyship, because friendship didn't quite cut it, and everything else that women do with women that may continue, and all of that occurs in the world, but the possibility of something even greater, far greater, where we could actually hone and nourish one another into self-honoring ladies. And so for me today, I had a powerhouse day as well in creation and enjoying a vivid life and always going for it. But I come from, before I had the tools of Access Consciousness, I come from thinking I have to do it on my own, thinking I need to be excellent, perfect, achieve something, never ask for help. And anytime I did, seemed like it was going to lead to some kind of diminishment or disempowerment. So it was easier to push on through. And with the tools and all these years and that changing and meeting amazing women, also so many wonderful gentlemen as well, just people who are so enthusiastic in creation and not at the fight or the competition of one another, but yes, there's still more that we can be for one another. And it comes to this place of, what do we got to be for ourselves? And as we nourish that, we can really trust and share that more openly and more vulnerably with each other. So I was having a powerhouse day and had a moment where I was like, I need to just go outside and be with me. And I didn't have the words that I'm a valuable product, but I was remembering asking Gary Douglas years ago, like, what is it to honor me? And he said, just be in that question, ask that question. And today honoring me was walking in the snow. The sun came out. The minute I honored me, the sun came cutting through the sky. It was just like, we went from 8 degrees to something like 28 degrees, which felt like summer. And I just walked and was breathing the cool air. And I realized in a nanosecond that as I nourish me, I'm not alone. And so I'm wondering, like, even just in that moment of nourishing ourselves and being kind to ourselves, we instantly connect to other wonderful ladies being kind to themselves. And then we approach one another from kindness. We're not approaching one another from stress, overdoing, wearing ourselves down. And so becoming that space for ourselves, and we move through the world more relaxed and more nourishing and more nourished. And then ladies can actually, what is really possible with ladies having so much fun in creation and acknowledgement and being what we are designed to be for each other. Like, really, we're cut out to have a groovy frickin' time, and also to create like frickin' warriors if we want to, but really from the space of fun.
Yeah, and I there's a few things that you mentioned that I just sort of want to expand on as well, because one of them you said, and the lovely gentleman as well. This is by no means excluding gentlemen. I think a lot of us ladies have nailed that. We have a lot of, I know, a lot of women, including myself, have lots of male friends, because sometimes we find that easier. It's like, they're just like, hi, they're there, and what I would like to do. So let's do this. Everywhere that you have decided that there has to be, let's do it. The presumptive reality that you have, that there has to be competition or a separation between women, rather than discovering the exploration and the adventure that we can be together and for each other. Can we please destroy and uncreate that times a gazillion? Right and wrong,
Right,
good and bad. Go for it.
That's and beyond. Let's do it together.
The clearing statement. Please go to theclearingstatement.com and check it out, because it's Dan and I are talking about it, and it's Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. And if you've been listening to my podcast, you would have heard it. But here's the thing too: is it's like what if we misidentified and misapplied of what that is? Because weirdly enough, I'm not a very social person. Like, you would think I am when you see me, because I meet hundreds and thousands of people all the time, and I can talk really well. I'm a good connector, I can go out there, but I'm not someone who seeks, I need to go have dinner with someone, or I need to go meet up, or I need to go to a nightclub, or I don't have that. I'm very, very happy hanging on my own. And I think sometimes that gets really misidentified as antisocial. And I want to look at it as, it's not antisocial, it's just not social. And the thing that you were saying about you went out for a walk in the snow, which I think is funny. You said 28 degrees. That's Fahrenheit, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 28 degrees Celsius here now. But I came back to Désirée. I was trying to cool myself down so I could, not be dripping while I was on this podcast, and actually be able to put some makeup on. And I remembered that you snowboard. And and in my head I went, God, wouldn't it be fun to go to the snow with, when I say go to the snow, my friend Christopher always hassles me, because he grew up in Canada. It's just outside. And I'm like, you go to the place. You go to the snow. It's like, you just
go in my backyard.
For me, I have to travel there. But I ski and you snowboard, and I was looking at the fitness there, moving your body, and I was like, I think it'd be fun to go. I'd go skiing, you'd go snowboarding, but just that moment of like that's more me social. I'm like, hey, you want to hit the mountains or something together, rather than shoot the breeze. For me, it never really made much sense. That's
just it, really, because I too, like, I can involve myself in crowds. I know how to be in a room of people. I know how to do that, but I am very, in this reality, antisocial. I would rather walk, read, sing at home, play the piano, pick up my guitar, ski alone, something like that. But the thing is if somebody's up for having fun, moving your body and actually having fun, it doesn't have to be, because a lot of socializing here is commiserating, which was not fun for me. And it didn't necessarily empower me to have a greater day the next day. So I found over the years that as much as I really enjoyed people, if I chose X, Y, or Z, I knew that maybe tomorrow I wasn't going to have that energy that I know I be. And I didn't have the tools then also. I didn't know how to really honor me, have the space of me around people and have that choice. But also we can select and be aware of who's really a contribution, who wants to have fun. And in creating a good time, you both leave, whether it's skiing or you go surfing or you go for a walk on the beach, and you're both creating greater. That's more like a ladyship. That's where you give each other a big high five and you're going for something greater. And unfortunately, it's rare, but what else is possible?
No, I love the fact you just said, if it's not, is it going to create a greater possibility for you, the following day? I love that. To even start asking yourself that question, because what if we've got it all twisted and wrong? And women can talk and talk and talk and talk. And Désirée and I are not short of a chat. We can talk as well, right? And what if you didn't have to enter into this? And you said friendship and ladyship, and I love the difference, because friendship never made any sense to me either. I was always such a necessity. What am I going to do if I'm your friend?
I always felt like a bad friend, because I would forget that I'm supposed to call back. I'm supposed to do something there. I don't know. I'm sorry. They'll be like, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. I'm like, I still care about you. I'm sorry, I'm a bad friend. But I can be an immense ongoing contribution. And so the obligations of friendship didn't make sense, similar to all relationships for me. I was never very good at them because I don't follow rules very well.
I love that. That's brilliant. So how presumed realities work is that you're literally functioning under a presumption. So even with friendship, if you look at that and you go, okay, and someone says, oh, this is my friend. This is my best friend used to really confuse me growing up, because I was like, now I'm a best friend. That's even harder, It's like, no friends, that might be. Yeah. So all the presumed realities that you are buying into with and as friendship, which also has this sense that you're continuously judging yourself for what you're not doing, but you don't even know what you should be doing under this presumed reality, rather than, right away when Désirée said, just, how do you honor you? You start to be you. It's like, so everything that is can be destroyed and uncreate it. Just let's start afresh right now. It's like, guys, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, ordinary, shorts, boys, proverbs, and beyonds. Wow.
Yes, and it just wow, that just opens so many more things, because really I have so many stories. I've thought about, gosh, if I had enough time to just write all this out, it's another whole book of the amazing quote unquote strangers that I'll meet in the world that are these ladyships for anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour. For instance, a lady that I sat next to on an airplane something like 5 years ago, we occasionally write each other the longest email. We've never seen each other again. We had the most amazing conversation where we opened each other up to different possibilities. We traded books. We had this awesome breakthrough, and she's one of those amazing spaces of nourishment. And it's like, we can have ladyship everywhere. It can be anyone. It doesn't have to be even in that first sphere of who you think you know and your acquaintances. It's like, you can have a 5-second ladyship with the barista at the coffee shop. In fact, I recently had the most amazing experience. It was the first snow in October, and I drove to this different little market that I wanted to try a Vietnamese coffee. And I'm standing in line, and I'm watching the snow, and I put on a jacket I hadn't worn in a year. And she looks up at me, and she's like, "I love your pin." and I didn't remember what I was wearing, and it was a pin my dad gave me many years ago, and it's a snowflake. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. My dad gave me this, and it's snowing, so it's perfect. And she's like, that's so awesome. Today was my dad's birthday, and he died. And I was like, oh my gosh, today would be my dad's birthday, and he died. And she comes around the corner before she's even taken my order, and we just hugged each other like, we got this. And we both felt our dad's presence. And then she gave me a free coffee, and that was that. And it was like, we're both bawling. We didn't go into sadness. We just saw each other through the snowflake, through the pin, contributed, had Vietnamese coffee. And I was soaring off of that 5 minutes for weeks on end.
That's a really beautiful story, Désirée. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's making me cry. But okay, so I'm going to suggest that anyone listening to this too, and if you're a man listening to this as well, because I know I have a lot of male podcast listeners, and thank you to all of you. It's like, same thing goes for you. It's like men have that thing too of thinking that they need to do it all on their own. And it's like that camaraderie that you can have, with another being, I guess. And it's like, and not based on all the rules and regulations of what friendship is, best friend is, or how long it's got to be, or how many times you should be calling, or what you should be doing, or what you should be saying, or how long you should stay out. I mean, I love, one of my best mates here is Sarah Watt, who I work with. And it's like, we can hang out for an hour and not even talk. And it's like, I'll play with her dog, or go play with her horses or something like that. And then we might sit on her veranda and have a drink and just chit chat or something. And it might not even, it doesn't have to be anything significant either. It's like we started talking about the trees the other day at her house and just looking at all the trees and talking about how they look like. And if we knew what they were, it's like, it's a tree conversation, It's like, it was just us, And so what if you could be you no matter what, but you invited that possibility in? And what I want to say is a little bit of the energy of what Désirée was talking is when we talk about receiving and you're receiving from others, a lot of the times people have this sense that it's like, it's about sitting here and going, okay, I'm open, I'm going to receive, come on, let's go, right? What if you sort of walked into receiving? Like, what if you asked questions, but you stepped into it? So it was more, there was a level of vulnerability that you choose as well. Like I just said the story about, I rang Sylvia, our mutual friend and colleague, etc. And I went, hey, can you help me? And I didn't know where this was going to go. I thought I was ringing her because she handles a lot of the schedule in the Americas, but it went somewhere different. And it also handled that as well. And if you haven't seen it, there's one of my favorite books ever is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Have you seen it, Désirée?
No.
Oh, okay. On Apple TV, it's a 34-minute animated movie. The book's been out forever. I loved it. I gave Chris Hughes it for Christmas. It's one of my favorite books. So, but there's this scene in it, and it's got a boy, a mole, a fox, and a horse. And there's this scene in it. I'm not ruining it, but there's a scene where they say, what's the bravest thing you've ever asked for? And the horse says, help. Because they didn't give up. And how many people don't ask for help and they just give up, rather than if you ask for help, you're actually asking to receive something greater than what you can maybe handle on your own, or you're not looking at something, etc. So what if we could ask each other for help? What if we were willing to be that vulnerable and go, hey, and it's like even a hug or a smile or a conversation or anything. It's like, I love that.
I mean, that question, like, hey, can you help me, please? Like, there's a lot of people who haven't ever spoken that sentence. And that just like, I know you're sharing this story, but I have to share a thank you to you, because I remember a very specific moment that I had no words and I was requiring that space of help and embrace. And I remember looking around the room and I just walked over to you and you hugged me with no words, with nothing, for multiple ongoing minutes. And I needed ongoing minutes. And that was it. And that was as far as because I couldn't audibly say, can you help me, please? And it's audible or it's not audible. But I mean, I didn't even know how to ask that question until maybe the last few years of my life.
Yeah, that's cool. And there's an energy that you perceive, when someone requires something. A friend of mine came over the other day and he said to me, he was a little like, and he said, all I wanted to do was see you and hug a tree. And I taught him to hug a tree like a couple of years ago when he wasn't feeling that well, and we were somewhere in the bush, and I went, why don't you hug the tree and ask the tree for help? And he looked at me like I was like, you know, taking the piss, like being a better joke. And I went, no, I'm serious. I went, hug the tree, see if the tree will help you. And he did, because he had like a sore tummy. And he was like, I think my tummy ache's gone away. And I was like, cool. I was like, so the tree helped you. So he came over the other day and he goes, I just wanted to see you and hug a tree. And I've got all these trees in the backyard. And I went, well, why don't we go into the backyard? So we made a cocktail and then took this blanket down and a pillow and lay on the ground with our cocktails and put our feet on the trees and had our hands in the grass as well. And for 1 hour, we didn't say anything. But it wasn't like, let's not say anything for an hour. We just didn't. And we looked up.
It has no significance.
Yeah, but there was so much said and nothing said. And it's like, what if that's the space that we could start to invite into our lives? And I know we started with this valuable product and it doesn't have to be there, but what I was looking at is you've got to start to acknowledge that you are the valuable product. It's like, you know, this is it. This is you and your body. This is your life. And it's like we spend so long trying to please other people or trying to get it right or do the same as somebody else or check in, etc. But it's like, where are you at, you know?
You know, that reminds me of something that I don't know where I got it, but I've been saying it and repeating it because it changed my life, was when I was like, you know what, I am done trying to transcend life. I'm going to insend life. And that changed everything to where it didn't have to be about the meaning and the transcending from the next thing to the next thing in some evolution of being, but really to incend, to imbibe, to inflame, to have it. Doesn't have to mean anything. And it takes me back to that childlike wonder where I would just like disappear for hours on end, you know, out in nature. And it got to the point where my mom tied bells all over me so she could find me, because I would literally disappear. Yes, I know. I had bells tied to my shoes and everywhere, and I would, you know, I figured out how to silence them to keep hiding. But anyway, that childlike wonder of where I wasn't, nothing had to mean anything. It wasn't about transcending. It wasn't about, it was for.
I love that.
And it's that as adults, even together.
Yeah. But it's like that, find what works for you. Like I told you, when I canceled this media thing this morning and I went for a walk, first of all, and then I walked into the bush and there was this space here that I was just surrounded by bush, and I stood there and I just went, okay. And I sort of started to stretch because I could feel the tension in my neck and my shoulders start to come up, which is a choice I'm choosing, you know. No one went, hey, Simone, you've got to start getting stressed out in your neck and your shoulders. No, I started to choose that this morning, you know, and I was like, okay, I chose it. I can also unchoose it, you know. So I stood there in the middle of the bush and I went, all right. And I just did some really simple shoulder, you know, neck movement exercises whilst I was going, okay, you know, receiving from the grass and the bush and the birds because they're so friggin' loud and all of that. And it was like 2 minutes I was there and I was like, okay, big breath. Now, let's go.
Yes, that. And you know, when you do that unraveling, because you just took me there. I just got to have it as whether you're doing it or you're even listening to it, you unravel. And it's really another form of lowering your walls and barriers, because you're just you. And I recently, when we were in Africa, I had this amazing moment. It was a night drive and like getting out on the ground at night and looking up, and I had never seen the southern hemisphere stars. Like in my mind, I had seen Orion's belt. I had seen Taurus. I had never seen it. And like my feet hit the ground and my whole universe opened up. Like, I've never seen this sky. I've never seen this sky. And I remember this nanosecond, like I had to like touch my face and like look down, because everything that I was being, I swore I was 12 years old. I was me. That was like maybe some connection to the last time I wasn't doing that, coping with everything and trying to handle life and put on a front or deal with it, where I was just like me. Like as a kid, I was just me until I wasn't, right? And many of us have something like that. So I started coping or dealing, and there was windows of me, and standing out there, I was like, I'm 12. I'm not 12, but I'm me again, and I can choose this. Just like you said, that's what lowering walls and barriers is for me recently. And it always changes, but I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
All of that stuff that doesn't allow us to be vulnerable, playful, and ladyships with one another. Like, that's really where it's at. You just take all those, I'll take all those guards down.
Because you also think that someone's like, if you look at social media and everything like that, it's just like, I mean,
Dangerous.
I'm good at going through reels. Trust me. I can lie in bed and go, where the fuck did all that time go? I've just looked at reels for like 40 minutes, like, right, and get locked in it. And then I'm like, turn your phone off. You know, I can do all of that. But if you look at everyone, it's like everyone has shit going on, and it's like they have stuff going on. It's like the mantra of access consciousness is all of life comes to us with ease, joy, and glory. Now, what if you stopped buying the lies also that other people function from, and you create this place of one of the things we spoke about at this 6-day event in South Africa was a relationship of awareness where you have enough space with people that you get to have no point of view, but you get to like perceive all and receive all, not from judgment, not from, you know, trying to, you know, be like anyone else or try and find the people that you like, etc. Just from like, hi. Like that young kid, that 12-year-old, the walls are down, you're like, wow, look at the sky, look at the stars.
Yes.
The stars all changed. They're not in the same position, you know? That's like,
I like
you see.
And that's also an interesting, that's also, you add to that, like, when, I don't know, when I tap into my childhood up to about that age, before we started believing in all of the things about gender and relationship and age and everything that growing up meant and success and sexuality and all these things that we had to try to make relevant as ways to either connect to or separate from others. But at 12, I was like, I had 1,000 best friends and they were everybody. So it's like all of those things that we put in place that we've made as a coping mechanism rather than a choice and a possibility. Like, okay, so I can choose this, but I don't have to make it a way to separate or desperately search for other people who I can be like, because no matter how much I tried various personas on, I couldn't find anybody very much like me, but I wanted to play with everyone. So it was always a confusion. Like, I think I'm supposed to find people that I'm like, which is no one. And I really like everyone. And I really like when we're not alike at all. So I wonder
that.
really.
Yeah, I like that. And playing with everyone. You wanted to play with everyone because you did. And kids do that. They don't care what your name is. They don't care the color of your skin, how much money you have in the bank account or anything like that. They're like, hi, you want to play?
Yes, I remember like when we'd go camping, I would be like desperate, but Dad, stop the truck. I just wanted to get out and I scanned and I just looked for kids and be like, want to play, want to play, want to play. Like, get me out of this vehicle. I have people to meet. And like,
yeah, go ahead.
Where did that go? You know, and then you have, and then it's here. So it's something we can choose. Just like you said, with our neck and shoulders, we can just like, oh, I can unchoose that. And it's right here.
You know, there's a place in the Blue Mountains in New South Wales in Australia, and there's these mountains, and they're called the Three Sisters. And when I was a kid, my parents said, we're going to the Blue Mountains to see the Three Sisters. Desiree, I was in the car the whole way, and I was so happy because I thought we were going to see these three girls that were sisters that I could go play with. When we got to the mountains and they were like, you know, we went to the viewing platform and it's like, there's the Three Sisters. And I bawled my eyes out because I was just like, where's my three new friends? Like, I thought we're going to see the Three Sisters. I can play with them. I just remembered that.
Well, now as the conscious lady that you are, you can now have the three mountains as some really serious sisters.
Exactly. Now I'd want to hike them, you know. So, yes. Hey, talking about that and choosing for you and everything and how we choose, I want to ask you a question. Is there anywhere in the world or any adventure, like when you talked about the stars, anywhere in the world or any adventure that you would, like a place that you'd like to go to that you haven't been to yet, that you could put on your, I'm doing this list?
You know, for my whole life, I would have immediately said Africa. And I'm home from Africa. Check. Everywhere, literally everywhere. But something that I'd really love to, my body's asking to be there is Patagonia.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see all those rocks and the sky and hopefully catch it at an eclipse or something spectacular. But also, I mean, literally everywhere. I don't find places to be more or less than other places. It's funny, like I've really grown to enjoy like some random stinky street in New York as much as a turn on a trail in the mountains. And I think that's also part of it, which is when you're having the space of you, everything reveals something, and you're approaching it from this kindness and curiosity. So I'm pretty enamored by everything. But Patagonia is on my list. And as far as like a more cultural experience, or, you know, I would love to go to Russia. I'd love to sing in an opera in Russia.
Oh yeah,
I love to sing there. Let's just be honest. Russia, furs and pearls and diamonds and all. Delicious.
I went and saw a ballet in Russia, and when I went there, the first time I went running there, it was hot, and I'm running around St. Petersburg, and I'm taking photos of buildings and sending them to Daria, who's a woman that we both know, sending them to Daria, going, "What's that?" And she's like, "Da, da, da, da." And then I'd run and I'd take another one and go, "What's that?" And I was like, because I was just like, "What the hell? These buildings are amazing." I was just like,
yes.
Megan, another mutual friend of ours, said, "It was so interesting seeing your photos on social media. I felt like you were taking photos of your backyard." And I went, I was in Russia again. It was just like, yeah, this lifetime, you know, loved it. So when you go sing in Russia, I'd love to be there. So yeah. Yeah, I've been looking recently. Cool. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I've been looking recently at different places I'd like to go to, because sometimes life can get really busy. And what I'm going to invite all of you listening to this is, what if you just ponder this? It's like, where would you like to go? What would you like to see? What would you like to do? Whether it is that, getting a slice of pizza in New York in a dodgy street, or going out somewhere in nature. And a couple of places I've been looking at is, I'd love to go somewhere and see the Northern Lights. And another friend of a friend sort of said to me recently, and she said, "I want you to meet this woman. She does this National Geographic show," and she said, "You guys would get on so well." And she does this Alaskan sled rides, and you can see the Northern Lights. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, what if we start choosing what is really fun for us and our bodies as well? Because like you said right at the beginning, and I love that, is what you're choosing today creating a greater possibility for you tomorrow?
Yes.
And what if we start to look at that and choose that?
Absolutely.
And be that? Yeah. So Désirée, I am so happy that we eventually did this podcast, and that we're all over the place, which is absolutely perfect. And where can people find you? Like,
my website is theworldsdesire.com. I'm on Instagram as The World's Desire, because I know the world desires you. The world desires all of us to show up. And as we be that, we create the world that we desire. So it's around and around it goes. You can find me everywhere. I've been a world traveler for a long time, with lots of different reasons of just exploring and trying my very best until I gave up trying. But to really know that this life is the adventure that I know I've always been looking for. So I'm everywhere and anywhere. I'm based in Colorado, but you never know where you might find me. And The World's Desire is the best place to, at least on social media. Otherwise, hopefully in person, wherever you are. Maybe I'll come to you.
And we will have all of those details in the show notes as well. So if you want to subscribe, it's like, then you'll get all those show notes too. And don't forget, we've now got a Choice Change Action Instagram. So you can follow us on there. We'll have little excerpts, etc. on there. But apart from that, it's like, guys, have way too much fun with whatever it is you're choosing. And what if you could stop judging you today and start choosing something entirely different? And what if you reached out to the women in the world, as a woman, reached out to the women in the world? And even, like Désirée said, it's like, it's so simple, that ladyship. It's like, you can be smiling at someone, or, when someone has that, cranky look on their face, and it's like, hey, you good? Like, anything I can contribute? Just a question. And you're not wrong, and you're not wrong if you're actually asking for help from anyone too. You never know where that's going to lead. If you say, hey, can you help me out here? Okay. Don't be afraid to ask.
I just love that, because I know for me, I always felt separate from others, and I didn't have access to the kindness when I was trying to be strong. But if I was willing to not make feeling wrong, that's actually an opening. So we think we're wrong, but it's actually an opening to receive a contribution or to ask a question. So with ladies, like, what would it be like if we weren't all proving strong?
We just are strong. And then sometimes we're not.
Yeah, we are. We don't need to prove
strong
it.
when we're not.
All of it. If we weren't needing to prove it, then we could just be it and relax and really have a great time. Really, it's so right there.
You don't have to prove it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just are.
We are it.
And don't forget to watch, Desiree, I so wanted to see it. A friend of ours, Paula Peralta, watched it because I asked her to watch it, and she went, I just want to watch it again. And I went, I know.
Oh, I'll watch it tonight.
The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Okay, and ping me and let me know what you think. So thank you everyone for being here. I will see you next time. And thank you so much, Desiree. It's been an absolute honor having you.
I'm so grateful for you.
Mwah. Thank you. Bye, everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at SimoneMilasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes. And lastly, have way too much fun today.